this is also another type of determiner, quantifiers. Quantifiers, and we have so many of them, and I will take you through for a while on quantifiers. So we have these as some examples of quantifiers used as determiners. A few, a little, we have much, many, a lot of, most, some, any, enough, and so many of them. And we call these quantifiers. And we are starting with the very quantifiers which could be used for both count and non-count nouns. So these quantifiers can be used for both count and non-count nouns. That is, nouns which can be counted or nouns which cannot be counted. And these are the quantifiers we are going to study. We have most of, the, a lot of, enough, much, more, most, some, or, any, plenty of, lots of, etc. That means that we have many of such examples. And then when it comes to these examples, that is when we will know that these quantifiers could be used for both count and then non-count nouns. And we have, I have enough sheep. Sheep here, we don't say sheeps. Sheep could be 1 or 2 or 3. If you meet 3 sheep, you don't say 3 sheep, but we say 3 sheep. So I have enough sheep. I have enough sheep. So sheep is considered as a non-count noun. We don't count them. Sheep, if it is 1, it is sheep. If they are 2, they are sheep. And then we also have, that thief was given enough punishment. Enough punishment. That is also used for non-count noun too. Non-count noun. And then we have some books. Some books. Books here is a count noun. That means that we can count the nouns. We can count them. Some books are in the table. Some books are in the table. That means the books can be counted. And then we also have, the employees exerted some force. So as we see here, books can be counted, but force cannot be counted. So force here is a non-count noun, and we use the quantifier to qualify it, and we use it as a determiner. We use it as a determiner. Some force into it. The employees exerted some force into it. And then when we come to this point, we need more vehicles. We need more vehicles. Vehicles too can be counted. Vehicles too can be counted. And that is why we use more for it. And then the 6th example, we have, couples must show more love. Love too is a non-count noun. It's a non-count noun. We can't count love. And therefore, we can use more for it. More love to one another. Couples must show more love to one another. So you can see that these quantifiers could be used for both count and non-count nouns. And if you are going to use any of these quantifiers for non-count nouns, they are allowed. Count nouns, they are allowed. And that is also one of the quantifiers, how they are used in the English language. So as we study these things, you could see that you are enhancing your English language to make you express yourself freely. And that is why it is so needful that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. So let's take another type of the quantifiers and the determinants as we progress. This is also another form of the quantifiers. And they are many, a few, and several. And what we say is they usually go with nouns that can be counted. They go with nouns that can be counted. What we studied earlier, we said they can either go with countable nouns or non-countable nouns. But for these ones, they are specific to only countable nouns. They are only specific to countable nouns. And then we have a few examples or 2 examples we are going to consider here, and then know some differences between a few, and then few, and so on and so forth. So that is what we must know. So examples, there are few oranges to spare. There are few oranges to spare. And as we can see here, there are few oranges to spare. Few oranges to spare. And then there are several drivers without licenses. There are several drivers without licenses. So that is also another quantifier. You can see that they all go with countable nouns, and the nouns are in their plural forms. The nouns are in their plural forms. Few oranges and drivers, they can be counted. They can be counted, you see, whereas others too cannot be counted. So let's take a look at some differences between few and then a few. Few is used for something which is a very small quantity and not many. That is when I talk about few. So when you look at these few oranges, probably can count them, probably 2 or 3 oranges. 2 or 3 oranges, right? Then we say few oranges. Whereas a few implies many, or that there is quite a number of something, right? So probably when you have, say, a basket full of oranges, where you can count them, then you can use a few for it. Few for something very small. Very small. Whereas a few is for something which, you know, is something you could consider as many, right? A basket full of oranges could be considered as many. And that is what it is. And we are going to also take a look at another form of quantifier. That is, we are going to little and then a little. And that is, let's go on to that. Okay, this is also another form of quantifiers. That is, which are also used for non-count nouns. These are used for non-count nouns. And then we have such quantifiers as little, a little, less, and least. And as I said, they are used for non-count nouns, nouns which cannot be counted. And that is one thing that we should all understand. So we have examples like, Kofi's little effort has been awarded. Kofi's little effort has been awarded. And then we have, there is less sugar in the whole town. There is less sugar in the whole town. Gloria had the least water to drink. So you could see that these examples we've just, underlined have these quantifiers which go with, non-count nouns, the nouns which cannot be counted. So anytime you are using little, you know that you are using little to qualify nouns which cannot be counted. You are using less for nouns which cannot be counted. You are using least for nouns which cannot be counted. And these are things that we should all understand. And when we understand that, we are going to improve upon our English. And as we did for a few and then a few, let's do the same for little and then a little. And this is it. Little is considered as semi-negative because it gives almost negative meaning. Little, right? Something which is probably not in existence, and it is considered as negative. Little effort. That means that the person does not even appreciate the effort you showed. The sugar is very little. That means that probably the sugar you gave the person is not appreciated by the person. And then when we also see a little depicts a small quantity. A small quantity. It means an individual considers it a small, but considerable quantity. An individual considered it a small but considerable quantity, a little. That means that it is appreciated, and it could only be considered by the individual receiving it, who can say this is a little thing you've given him or her. So these are things that we should also understand, how to use the little and then a little. And we've learned that they go with non-count nouns. And as we study, we will know how to use them. Let's take a look at another form.